Indonesia is a country made up of more than 17,000 islands with one of the most diverse food cultures in the world. Mortar and Pestle, classic Indonesian recipes for the modern kitchen, is a culinary road trip filled with family recipes spanning 3 decades. And Patricia is here with me in the kitchen, and Mom Julia is also here keeping a close eye on us from the New Day main set. And we're going to check in back with her in a few minutes, but she's going to make sure we're doing everything correctly today. Pat, what are we making today?
Hi, good morning, Kelly, and everyone out there. So we are making a dish called sayur lodeh, and it is a vegetable dish in coconut soup.
Oh, amazing. Okay, so how do we get started? I see something happening over here that I can maybe be helpful with.
So one of the main reasons why we named our cookbook Mortar and Pestle is because the spice paste, which we call bumbu, is the foundation of most Indonesian dishes. And for this dish, we are going to start with a spice paste. And the traditional way of making a spice paste is actually in a mortar and pestle.
Okay.
So,
but you can use a food processor,
yes, you
right?
can use a food processor, which actually, honestly, I prefer because I tend to make my spice paste in bulk. Okay. So it's a lot easier than having to pound away all day.
True.
So,
okay, and what am I pounding away in here? What's everything in here?
We have some candle nut, which is called kui nut in Hawaii, which they use for poke. And we also have garlic and shallots.
Smelling the garlic.
So that is the basic foundation of most Indonesian spice pastes. And then you can add like other different spices into it, like some chilies, whatever, depending on whatever dish you're making.
And about how long would something like this take? I'm not tired yet. I'm just asking.
No, that all depends on your skill level and your arm power.
Ooh, okay. We might be at a low end over here, but I'm sure Mom Julia is probably at a 10 out of 10.
Oh my gosh, yeah. You should have seen my mom go when she was younger.
Oh my gosh.
She could go really fast.
Okay, so you have something already that we're getting cooked up, which is this paste, right?
Yes, so I have some oil and the spice paste, which I had processed at home.
Oh,
so
wow, yeah.
So yeah, it needs to become like, really smooth and fine like this. So.
Okay, I'm getting there. Okay, so you heat the oil up and everything. For about how long would you? So
you heat up the oil with the spice paste for about maybe a minute until you can smell the fragrance of the garlic and the shallot. So I can hear it sizzling already.
Yes, definitely. So, we got that going for everyone before. Okay, and then what else do we add in?
So now we have some coriander.
Ooh.
So we're just gonna put in a little bit of coriander. So you can buy coriander already powdered like that, but I like to buy whole seeds and grind them myself because I think the flavor just comes out so much better.
Oh, wow.
And then I have some white pepper. We tend to use white pepper more than black pepper in Indonesian cooking.
Interesting.
So, and over here we have some dried shrimp powder.
Oh.
So you usually find them as whole dried shrimp at the Asian markets, but this has already been ground into a fine powder.
Oh, great. Okay.
So, and then, do you like spice?
I love spice.
Okay.
Yay! Are you gonna make me a spicy dish?
Yes. So you can make it as spicy as you want it to be. But I have to admit, I'm quite the worst when it comes to spice.
It's okay. If we're sharing it, then you go somewhere in the middle. I don't want you in pain.
So this is sambal ulat. You can find this at the Asian market, or you can grind your own chilies too. Red chilies if you prefer. So, but this is nice and convenient.
It's so fragrant. I'm loving all the smells. So good.
Yeah, it's definitely smelling good. And then we're gonna throw in some lemongrass.
Wow.
And some slices of galangal.
Oh, okay.
And these are what we call daun salam. Literally translated, it means salam leaves. And you can only find them dried here in the U.S.
Okay.
So,
but you would prefer fresh if you could?
Yes.
Always fresh? Okay.
Always fresh. But I have not found any sources for fresh salam leaves here in the U.S. So we'll just have to make do.
Okay, so all of that is going.
Okay, and then we are going to pour in some coconut
And this
milk.
is what kind of makes it that soupy mixture that we're seeing.
Yep.
Delicious.
So full fat, please.
Okay, because it just tastes better in your opinion?
Yes, it
okay.
does. It tastes better, and the texture is a whole lot better as well.
Yeah. And so tell me too, you've been obviously cooking with your mom since you were little, and this cookbook feels like such a labor of love together. So talk to me about that.
So, I was born in Jakarta, but I grew up in Singapore, and my mom was on a mission to make sure that her kids were rooted in their Indonesian traditions and culture. So food was one of the most important ways that she did that. She cooked Indonesian or Indonesian Chinese dishes for us every day. And, she also invited me into the kitchen. She, on the days when she would be pounding away with her mortar and pestle, I would be right next to her playing with my masak-masak set. Masak-masak means cook, but it refers to a toy cooking set as well.
Yeah.
So I would be next to her doing that, and she taught me how to roll lumpia, which is the Indonesian version of spring rolls, and she taught me how to cook rice, which is a rite of passage for a lot of Asian families.
Yes.
And so
that's so special.
Yeah, it wasn't really formal cooking lessons, but I was always there with her in the kitchen, and she whoopsie. And I would be absorbing everything, I guess, kind of like through osmosis. And and one of the most important tips that she gave me was to taste as you go.
Ooh, okay.
So yeah.
Well, and Mom Julia, I want to get over to you too. You're watching us obviously to make sure we're getting this right. But when you came to Seattle in 2022, how did you begin to share? 2002. How did you begin to share your Indonesian cuisine?
Yeah, I used to cook for the student who study here in Seattle, because they don't have family, they don't have anybody. At least I'm as a mother for them.
Oh, that's so
That's why I
amazing.
cook for them. And also in 2007, is my daughter-in-law is opened the Indonesian restaurant. They call it Julia's Kitchen. And I'm help her to cook in the kitchen.
Oh, amazing. Okay, I love that you're watching us to make sure we're doing it right. What else is going on in the soup too?
All right,
Vegetable time?
So now we are going to add the vegetables. So, you can use any vegetables that you like that is in season. So in my cookbook, I added aubergine, eggplant.
Yeah.
Because that's one of my favorite vegetables. But here we have some green beans.
Yes.
So I just stick the green beans in there.
Carrots, it looks
and then
like,
we
right?
have some carrots.
Cabbage.
Some cabbage. And actually one of my favorite vegetables is chayote.
Oh.
Yeah, in Indonesian we call it labu siam. It's because labu means like a melon or a squash.
Right. Oh my gosh. Okay, so while that's cooking up, I'm going to taste the final product. And tell me too, the two dishes you have here for Lunar New Year as well.
So sayur lodeh is a component of a celebratory dish that we call lontong cap gome. Cap gome means
good.
the 15th day of the Lunar New Year. It's also the last day of the Lunar New Year. And so on the 15th day, it's traditional for Indonesians of Chinese descent to eat a dish made up of lontong, which are these rice cakes.
Oh yeah.
So they're compressed and so they like stick together. And then we have opor ayam here, which is a coconut chicken dish, and you always have to have an egg with it. I think egg symbolizes fertility.
Okay.
And
Get the egg in.
Yeah, get the egg in. And then we have sambal goreng udang. So you have shrimp and you have bamboo shoots.
Oh,
but you
wow.
can make this dish with anything like liver, gizzards.
Thank you so
Tempeh.
much for being here and sharing your love for cooking. And of course, Mom Julia, both mother and daughter will be sharing from their book tonight, January 30th at Book Larder in Seattle.
The New Day Northwest Kitchen is brought to you by Safeway.